So this is a pretty neat question. They they're sex- they're essentially explaining everything that is already in the actual drawing. So no need to pay too close attention there. But they want the total distance that the water travels. So we can call this side x. Now, keep in mind they're saying in inches and they even underline it for us, which is considerate of them. This is in feet. So we know we're going to need to do a conversion from feet to inches. That being said, keep in mind what we say in our triple T document. Don't look at the answer options right away. They'll only confuse you. However, it can be useful to look at the answer format. And when you look at the answer format, notice all of them still have a 5 in there. Well, so then I don't want to convert right away because then I'll lose that 5. Let's hold off until the very end to convert, but let's not forget it as well. So because we're looking at an unknown side length, so because we're looking at an unknown side length and we currently know an angle and a side, we know we're going to need to deal with SOHCAHTOA, in other words, the trigonometric relationships of sine, cosine, and tangent, which relates the opposite, adjacent, and hypotenuse sides. So let's go ahead and label everything. So from the angle of 1.2, the opposite to me is always the easiest to label. Then the hypotenuse is the next easiest for me. So notice this is the right angle. These are the two sides touching the right angle. The hypotenuse is the one side not touching it. So I know this is the hypotenuse right here. And then by default, this other one's adjacent. I feel like that's the easiest way to do it. So let's think about it. From the angle that I know, what's the side that I know and the side that I want to know? Well, those are the adjacent and hypotenuse sides. Well, which trigonometric function relates the adjacent and hypotenuse sides? It's cosine. So I'm going to say cosine from 1.2, so it's always cosine from the angle, is equal to, and it has to be in this order, adjacent over hypotenuse. So adjacent over hypotenuse. Now, because I have a fraction on the right side, I want to put a fraction on the left side by putting it over 1. And now I have a proportion where I'm going to cross multiply. I always like to start with the cross product that involves the variable, the x, and we're going to put x times cosine 1.2 is equal to 5. Now I'm going to get x by itself by dividing both sides by cosine 1.2. And what's also important is to think, well, is there any reason for me to put this in my calculator? And again, when you look at the answer format, you can see they did not put any of these in the calculator, right? So we know that we're just going to leave our answer as is. And what we can actually do is start to eliminate answer options. We know we used cosine as the trigonometric function. So let's eliminate things that have sine in it. And really, when you look at options B and D, technically, because we have a fraction, it's pretty safe to say that the correct answer is B, but where did this 12 come from? I think that's definitely worth exploring. So when we talk about unit conversion, let's say I started with, I don't know, 2 feet. How would I convert that to inches? Well, I want the units to cross cancel and I want it to become inches. So whatever I want it to become, I want it on top, and the units that I want to cancel should be diagonal. And I always say, well, what's bigger, 1 foot or 1 inch? 1 foot. So I put a 1 with that unit that's larger. And then I say, well, 1 foot is equivalent to 12 inches. So if I want to convert from feet to inches, notice this, I'm really just multiplying by 12. So if I multiply it by 12, so 5 times 12 over cosine 1.2, now you can see how that matches perfectly with B.